President Trump touting the recently passed VA Mission Act.
Last week, we passed new landmark legislation to give choice to our great veterans. It's going through. We're going to have it. It's going to be incredible.
Giving choice to vets is by far the biggest part of the Mission Act. But another part of that Mission Act expands the Caregiver program to cover all veterans, not just post-9/11 vets. The VA says they're working to continue to improve the appeals process within that program. But what else needs to be done? Joining us now to discuss, Christopher Neiweem, a former U.S. Army police sergeant, military police sergeant, and Iraq war vet, also a Republican strategist. Chris, thanks for being here this morning. So not a lot of people know about this program. There was some controversy about expanding it or not. What do you make of the expansion, and how is VA handling it?
Sure, Pete. So, I think the expansion should definitely happen. It's always been an issue. It's expensive. It's, $1 billion. I think these vets deserve it. But ultimately, I think we need to look at the management of that program. You know this, Pete. There are veterans who have lost a leg, and then you have a recertification process where these caregivers who take care of these veterans have to come in to recertify the injuries still there. There's just a lot of management problems at the VA that are perennial. So that's the big issue still.
So in this program, as with others, the bureaucracy oftentimes gets in the way of common sense, but you also have to look out for anyone that might, or caregivers that may exploit the system as well, so you have to have safeguards.
You absolutely do, Pete. We need to root out fraud regardless of where we go, but I do think that those issues of accountability, that's why we've got to get a secretary in there. We've got to have a leader in there that can manage this bureaucracy that just tends to continue to have those problems. It's a matter of health care access and accountability, two biggest issues in the VA community, and both of those are still outstanding. We've got to get a grip on them.
That's right. Access and accountability. Access could also mean choice. Where do you get your care and how quickly do you get it, and holding people accountable. And you're right, without a VA secretary, Robert Wilkie, there's a confirmation process to come. We reached out to VA for comment. This is what they said, the changes that are going to be made. They're issuing a new directive outlining staff responsibilities, eligibility requirements, available benefits and procedures for this process. They've conducted mandatory staff training and implemented standardized communications and outreach materials. All sounds good, Chris, but are you confident that they're aggressively watchdogging this programming and streamlining it?
Not without a strong leader in there to manage it. You look at the caregivers out there. These are people, after the Iraq war, people finally and policymakers started looking and saying, wow, these veterans that have been critically injured, they need someone to take care of them their whole life. We need to get those folks health care and support so that they're not exhausted. They can keep caring for those veterans. But the VA program, throwing these people out, throwing them in, it's just, we can't have that. We need to get a secretary in there. We need to get real reforms. You've been at the forefront of this for a long time, Pete. So, we've got to get a strong leader in there to oversee this, or it's going to probably fail and continue to have problems.
Absolutely. If the bureaucracy is left to its own devices, it can squash good programs and also elevate bad ones. And with choice being the center of what this president wants, you need a leader to drive that in as well. Chris, thanks for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
You bet, Pete. Thanks.
You got it.